Barbershop Conversations, man. We here with Cameron Duncan. Should be picking up the phone any moment now, and we're gonna jump into the interview. Miss
What?
Miss. Oh, I was introducing you. How you doing? How you
Oh,
doing, Cameron? How you
how
feeling?
you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm
Good.
feeling
How are
good.
you?
We live and in color, man. And how was the holidays for you?
It was good. How about you?
It was good. It was good. Family. Um,
That's good.
yeah,
Family's good.
yeah. Family is so important, and I know you're a God fearing man, so I know it was all about family and God, right?
Oh, I am afraid of God. You got that right. Yes, I do.
Well, last we spoke, all your fighters were moving in the right direction. Brian Norman had an upcoming fight. Jaron Boots Ennis looked great, and you said you had some other fighters. Feel free to elaborate on how they're doing.
They're doing good. Brian Norman is doing really good. He's 22-0 now, and 19 knockouts, and just a great kid, hardworking kid. I think he's going to be a welterweight now.
Mm,
I don't think he's ever going to make 40 again. He's really grown strong, and he went to camp with Boots
mm,
for Boots' last fight, and they sparred for like 3 weeks off and on. And Bosie Ennis called me and told me, "You really got something with this kid, Cameron. This
wow,
guy can really fight."
wow.
Which I already knew, but it's nice to hear it from a guy like Bosie Ennis, believe me. So he's doing terrific, and of course, Brandon Lee won on television and stopped the guy in the seventh round,
Hmm.
Geraldez. And he's 24-0 with 22.
Hmm.
And he's doing sensational. He's working his butt off. Great. And again, a great kid. And of course, Boots, we all know what that's the best fighter in the world, in my opinion. And then I've got a bunch of undefeated kids that a kid named Hakeem Lopez. He's 168. He's 12-0. Lives in Atlanta. Really a humble kid, really nice, and he can really fight. Um, Punches really good.
Mm.
And the kid out your way in California is a kid, Kevin Anton. He's 5-0 with 5 knockouts. He's just starting, and he's I'm really excited about him. He's a 6'3" welterweight,
Oh, geez.
and Sammy Contreras trains him, and Sammy Contreras manages him, and Sammy brought him to me, and Sammy is so high on him, and Sammy really knows. He knows what he's talking about.
Mm.
So excited about him, and got a kid who's fighting next week in Mexico, um, Brion Gorham, Gorham, and Brion. He's 10-0 with 9, and he's fighting next week. And he lives in Houston. He is off the chart. He's one of those that everybody's telling me, he's right up there with the best you have.
Mm.
And a lot of people have told me, next to Boots, he's there. He's that
Oh,
good.
okay.
So I'm really excited about him. I'm excited about all of them.
No, and you believe in
And
knockouts.
yeah, oh yeah, no, I like guys that can punch.
Uh-huh.
And I think if you give them a chance early and you're careful with them, and they're great amateurs, they got a lot of ability, a lot of skills, and you don't match them real tough at first, they grow in. I watched Kelly Pavlik go from just a guy, and he turned out to be unbelievable. And
Right.
Donaire, I took it easy with these guys, and Danny Romero. I go on and on and on. But I started them kind of slow, and they did great. And of course, I got involved with Tim Bradley later, and he was
Yeah.
brought up tough. They threw him in. Oh man, I would have never done those fights he did. But Tim got through them and won them, and he went on to be a great, great, great fighter. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't have to baby him as much as I do, but I like giving them time when they're young to grow.
And babying them means matchmaking them to win, being careful.
Matchmaking them to win and being careful. You don't put them in with punchers, and you don't put them in with fights that, I just don't think you learn anything when you're fighting for your life. And I mean, at that point, you're in a survival mode, and you throw everything out the window. You can't work on things. But
Sure.
if you bring them along slowly,
Right.
then they can go in and try different things and stuff they've been working on with their trainer in the gym.
Sure.
And they can try them. And if it doesn't work, or they make a mistake doing it and they get hit in the face, they're not on the deck, with their eyes rolling up in their head. They get slapped and they don't go down, and they say, well, I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
And, they learn.
Right.
And I think that's what they have to do. And the guys I signed usually have a lot of amateur experience and have been successful at that level. So, they just need some time to work on being a pro.
Yeah.
That's all.
And add value to your investment.
Well,
just
yeah,
as important, right?
Costs you more when you do it my way, because you give them a lot of fights, 22 fights, 26 fights, 28. I mean, you give them a lot of fights. A lot of those you pay for, and it costs a lot more.
Right.
And most guys don't want to do that. They want to give them, well, he had, 132 amateur fights. He had 174 amateur fights,
Right.
And they want to, get them 8 or 9 fights and then start putting them in with guys near the top 10 or 15. A lot of guys want to do that.
Right.
I'm not saying it won't work. Like I said, Tim Bradley did that. But Crawford, I started him from the first fight, and I was very careful. And even when he finally did fight on that short notice, and, I was
Rita's
scared
Prescott.
to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's not the way I do it. But look at him. He beat the tar out of that guy.
Yeah, he did.
And then, and I look like an idiot for being afraid. And he went on, and look what Tim Bradley's done.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, Crawford, and look what he's done. I mean, he's one of the best fighters in the world, and it may be the best fighter in the world. No one knows.
Yeah. And might as well stay on Crawford before we jump back to Jaron Ennis, since you got him up. What do you think of Terrence Crawford's career moving forward?
I don't know. I'm not involved in it. I don't know what he's, I don't know what he's doing.
Do you?
But everything he's done has been a success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have an opinion on his case versus Top Rank?
No, I don't, because I'm not involved in it. So, I don't really have an opinion on it. I just know he's a great fighter, and I hope he's going to get some big fights while he's still young enough to put him in those fights. As a fan, just
sure.
watch.
Sure. How would you move him going forward, being that he's probably not going back to Top Rank? The doors are closed there. How would you move him on a fight by fight basis? Who would you want him to fight on? What network?
Well, whatever you can, whatever's going to get him the money, as much money as he can get in fights that make sense for him. And anybody makes sense for him, unless he jumps up to middleweight or something like that. I'm not talking about him fighting Canelo or something. But, anybody at welterweight, that he can fight, um, and get him the most money. I mean, that's would be the thing, and I don't think that the type of money he wants to make, he's going to have to fight like Spence or something like that, and
Sure.
Spence is going to have to agree to it. And it doesn't get easier, that's for sure.
It
When you
doesn't
start
get
talking about real money.
right. What's your take on the Spence versus Crawford? Do you think that's likely at this point?
I don't right now because I think they both want a lot of money, and it's just not there. The boxing is really hard to get those kind of dollars, but I'm not saying they don't deserve it. They both have so much ability, and they're at the top of their sport. And you wish it was there, but I don't think money that they're looking for is there right now.
What's your opinion on Crawford's and Bradley's relationship?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
what their relationship.
Okay. Okay. Because I know
Do they?
you both had them at one time or another.
I
Yeah.
think they're friends. I think they've always gotten along. I've never heard anything negative at all.
Yeah. No, because
Have,
he
have
spoke.
you?
No, I mean, Tim Bradley is never short on how on what he feels. He said that the reason why I said that asked you because he said last week on the telecast, there's no racism at Top Rank, and basically you're on your own, buddy, with that. I've never experienced any racism like that. You're on your own, buddy.
Oh, he did say that.
Yeah, he did. So
Yeah, I agree. I didn't either. I just, I didn't know if there was anything. I think those guys are friends.
hmm do you think there's racism in boxing?
No, I think it's just money.
Money.
Just money. People do what they do for money.
Mm,
And some guys draw and some guys don't draw as well, um and nobody wants to lose money.
mm.
So
Yeah, I definitely understand that point. You went viral on the on Twitter last week, Cameron.
I did.
Yeah, you went super viral last week on on the on Twitter. I'm surprised none of your fighters didn't send it to you because someone clipped the remember our last interview or two interviews ago when I asked you about the NBF rule.
Okay.
That clip went extra viral on Twitter. Extra viral. Yeah. It got back to me about 20 times. S-
Well, that wasn't anything negative. That was, you know, something that, a matchmaker said to
mm,
me, and it certainly wasn't negative.
mm.
It was respect, real respect.
From the
So
perspective of the promoter, but not from the perspective of the fighter. And that leads me to ask you this. Will Jaron Ennis, now that you have Jaron Ennis, who is the most electrifying next guy up, do you think he'll be from my perspective, do you think he'll be a victim of NBF or fighters not wanting to take the risk to fight him?
well, that's all colors that don't want to fight him.
hmm
Come on.
Yeah,
I mean, that has nothing to do with racism. That has to do with, is it a good fight? Is it a smart
sure.
fight? Is the money right? Has nothing to do with any racism at
Right,
all.
right, right.
So
So you, so it's simply economics, simply economics.
yeah,
Uh huh.
you know that everything's money, and believe me, it's nothing personal. It's just, does the fight make sense?
Mm.
And you can say about that, and that's just, what he meant was respect.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful you put your guys in with.
Mm.
So I don't see anything negative about that at all.
And Jaron Ennis, IBF. He's looking for an IBF title eliminator. Do you mind giving us an update? Because I called you yesterday. You said your phone was ringing off the hook. You had to go recharge it. Can we do this interview tomorrow?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been busy lately trying to do certain things with my company, but um, yeah, no, he's talking about fighting the IBF, and we'll see what happens. We've got to negotiate it, waiting for something to come out from the IBF.
Do you have a list of opponents? Because it came out uh yesterday that potentially it's Custio Clayton.
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's the guy. How close?
Got to make a deal with him.
And he's actually in Vegas now. He's training at
Yeah,
Split T Boxing.
yeah.
That's where he's training at in Vegas. Split T.
Which boxing?
Split T with Bobby McCoy. He's over there with Bobby McCoy in Split T Boxing. I believe it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can just drive over there and hand in the contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not quite that easy.
Yeah, I know. Anyway. I definitely know that.
I know you're being funny. Yeah.
How progressive or aggressive do you want to be with Jaron Ennis in 2022? Because he's itching to be a champion. He done. I saw Blue Blood. Shout out to Blue Blood Sports. I saw his interview, and I could see like he's at a point now where he 100% believes no one can beat him, and he's literally going to run through everybody. So
Yeah.
so is this a final eliminator to get Errol Spence to fight him? Or is it just an
eliminator? Him in a position to fight whoever the champion is. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of, am I always concerned when you're talking about names like, the top of the game, the best fighters in the world,
Mm-hmm.
And you're always concerned about that. But I'm really not afraid with Boots. I believe Boots is the best fighter in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and already at 24. And I think, he does beat these guys. Not saying it's going to be a cakewalk, but he'll find a way to beat him. He's so talented. He's so smart.
Right.
He's so skilled, and he's got a great chin, and he's, he's always in shape. He takes care of himself. I mean, there's nothing negative to say about Boots Ennis. Always got a smile on his face. Just a great, great, great person.
Mm. Who would you want? So obviously the champion. So do you believe Errol Spence? I don't believe Errol Spence will be there. How about you? I think he'll be at 54 by then.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people saying, is that he'll move on to 54. He's been talking about it for a while, but I don't talk to him, so I don't know. I don't know what's going through his head.
Yeah. Gary Russell fights tonight, and he's fighting Mark.
A great fighter. Another great fighter.
Yeah, it's just funny. Like I think Jaron Ennis is gonna be slowed up because, as you put it, it's out of respect. I can definitely see how black fighters and black management the management that represents the black fighters can say, "What the fuck? You're not giving me a shot? Is it because I'm too good?" And you're gonna say yes. And then they're going to say, "Oh, this is what racism is. This is what systemic oppression looks like." You know what I mean? And people say, "No, it's about the money. It's about the dollars." And
it is about the money. It is about the dollars.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't want to go into racial stuff, but who runs all the 100 meters at the Olympics? Who's the fastest in the world? I mean, it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody tells me differently, they're lying.
Mm.
Look at the NBA. Are there some great white players, or maybe they're, the guy from Japan and, different? Are there great? Yeah, but they're one here, one there, whatever. But go to and look at all of the, the black fighters, and that's what you're going to find. I don't want to get into the racial
No,
stuff,
no.
but they're the best athletes in the world, bar none. And if anyone wants to argue with me about it, go get in the mirror and they can argue to themselves. It's
Facts.
common sense, man.
And
Common sense.
no, the reason why I brought that up because he hasn't fought in 2 years, and I know you don't manage him, but like it's just I was just having a conversation with someone. It's just awful. The boxing world hasn't seen how great Gary Russell truly is. He's fighting tonight in Atlantic City, a fight this is probably their second fight in a decade, third fight in a decade. He's fighting in no man's land, 2-year hiatus, you know, just one of the more extraordinary talents that boxing has seen. And, it's not many people are going to see him. It's just one of those things.
But you've been around this,
Hmm.
and that he's a great fighter. We all do. We all know he's a great fighter. But he lost to a white guy, Lomachenko, who only had a handful of fights.
Third fight.
But don't tell me that's that's the way. That was an oddity.
Yeah.
It may never be duplicated again.
Right.
I mean, Lomachenko was unbelievable.
Right.
And so, but that doesn't take away from Gary Russell's greatness. He's a great fighter.
Uh-huh.
So
And
anyway.
Yeah, and I never understood this either. I know you don't manage him, but I found this rather funny. Leo Santa Cruz is fighting at 130, right? And he says, I'm gonna fight at 130 one more time, and then I'm gonna go down and defend my belt. I sit here and I'm amazed at the business of boxing. How and I consider you an expert. That's why I'm bringing this up to you. But like, you see guys like Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares, and Carl Frampton. Gary Russell never had a chance at them.
Right.
Yeah. And that coincides.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying that coincides to the money, right? It's about the money.
Right. And that's why you saw those fights, in the two fights with Santa Cruz against what's his name?
Abner. The second fight was redundant. It was no point in making that second fight. It was so redundant.
There you go.
He won the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was literally Groundhog's Day. I'm like, okay, Leo Santa Cruz is going to throw 233 punches and he's going to land 35%. Abner Mares is going to try and find a counter and get beat up. End of story. And that was the fight.
It was really a great fight the first time.
Yeah, it was. It was fun too.
Being in LA and both of them, it was terrific. And I did sign Leo and had him for a long time. And when he won his first title, I was managing him.
Right.
But I met with the Marses at the El Torito restaurant in Hawaiian Gardens.
That's where he's from?
I sat with his whole family. I tried to sign him too, because he can really fight. He was a great amateur, really a good fighter.
Yeah, an Olympic amateur. I think Richard Schaefer ended up signing him, correct? Am I right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, Richard Schaefer in the fight. And not too often I get best friends to come on my show back to back. I had your best friend, Rick Glaser, on a handful of days ago. And he had some choice words to say about you. I'm not sure if you heard him or not.
Well, I have. I don't know why. I hardly even know him, so I don't know why there's so much hate.
Yeah. Who is Rick Glaser in boxing?
Nobody.
Hold up. I'm sorry, I'm just getting over COVID, so my oxygen is not going in as everyone's.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
You've been through your COVID test.
Yeah. I'm negative now. I'm just But
Oh, wonderful.
yeah, thank you.
Good.
It's just your lung capacity changes, so you got to do those breathing exercises to get it back. But yeah, I'm negative now, and
Oh, goodness.
I'm good to go. I'm just gonna wait out. I got 2 more days on my 10 days, and I'm just gonna wait the 10 days out. So Monday I get to go outside. I've been inside for 10 days straight. So, but it's
Oh, my
mhm,
goodness. I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It happens. Can you define nobody?
Just, I don't know. I mean, do you know any fighters? Do you know any businesses, any big fights, any names, any? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know why he'd even be talking to me.
Wow.
I don't even know what.
Hmm.
I mean, just it's not somebody he doesn't have anybody. He doesn't do anything. He's not with anybody. He's not affiliated with anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. He doesn't do anything.
Hmm. Yeah. For
I don't mean that. No, I didn't mean that to put him down. He's never done anything, and he's never had anybody, and he's never done nothing. So he's not somebody. If you ask me about a lot of people in boxing, I could say something, but there's nothing here to say.
mm, overstood. Overstood. And I just want to I'm just gonna paraphrase the quote that he said because I'm not sure if people are going to go back and watch the interview I did with him Wednesday or Tuesday night in the barbershop. But he basically said that if there was one person that he could get rid of, it would be Cameron Duncan. And so I was sarcastic earlier, but I'm just want people to understand what he said about you so we can move forward with that. Um, Showtime. How's your business with Showtime, man? Are you gonna get a deal with Jaron Ennis?
It's good. Everything's good with Showtime, and you know, um, Stephen Espinoza is terrific. He's been really good to us,
Mhm.
and me and Bosie talked, about it, and also Boots. He's been terrific, and
Right.
and and I'm hoping he's going to help me with some more fights
Mm,
with some of my younger guys, coming up, like, definitely Brandon Lee, and definitely, Brian Norman Jr., guys like that, guys that are right there at the top of breaking out. So, no, he's been really good. Showtime's been great for us.
yeah, I really like Brandon Lee is growing on me. I thought he was Tommy Morrison at the beginning, you know what I mean, like the Tommy Morrison type. And I watched him not
Morrison.
like like we got to have somebody white in the heavyweight division. Like, oh, we got this Asian guy, and so
He's Asian and Mexican,
yeah, Asian and
mostly
Mexican, yeah, but
Mexican,
he looks Asian because
and he won 16 national amateur titles.
I know.
I mean, that's not somebody who just came out of nowhere.
No, but every
He's
time I
a
saw him
very
fight,
talented guy.
I know Cameron, but every time I saw him fight, he was getting rid of people. But like you said, you're doing a great job at matchmaking. Now I have a better understanding of how you move your fighters. And and I'm watching him fight, and I'm like, damn, he's just destroying everybody. And this was the first fight where I actually saw intellect. I mean, excuse me, forgive me for saying he always had intellect, but I actually saw his wheels turning in the ring, you know, and I really was very impressed with how he won. And you know what else I enjoyed is the the re, not only the respect that he had for his father, but the adulation that he had for his father, and knowing that that's his father. And I thought that was beautiful too, because I don't know if you noticed, Cam, but my kids are mixed with black and Asian. So 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 I'm rooting for his success. You know what I mean? So, but it was really beautiful to see him in the ring and have a great deal of respect for his father. I thought that was awesome.
he has a lot of respect for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
He's so always nice and always a smile and when he gets fighting, it's like Boots
Right.
and Brian. These kids that I have, they're really really nice kids, and great young men. They really are.
Right.
And but when they go through those ropes and that bell rings,
Boom.
they're vicious. They're
Right.
vicious. And that's Brandon can punch so hard.
Mm.
And I got a phone call from Robert Garcia one day, and he just praised Brandon. He had been over there sparring, and he said, Cameron, I just want you to know. And it's really good to hear from a guy like Robert Garcia or Bozy Ennis or, guys that are really know how to fight, really know boxing
Right.
and know fighters and are really into it to tell me, you really got something there, Cam. You need something else. And it felt really good when I heard from Robert. So I'm really high on Brandon, and I think he's going to win a world title. I
Oh,
really do.
oh yeah, because Josh ain't gonna stay there too long, so you just gotta keep him in position to for that fight.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
going to have
Yeah.
to. He's got 4 belts,
All of them.
and he's got them all,
Mm-hmm.
and all except the IBO. But he's really, really
Mm-hmm.
a good fighter too, and so there's going to be somebody when he goes to 47, things are going to really open up, and Brandon will be right there.
Okay. Um, how does it work with Showtime? Is it just a date and you're responsible for the salaries, or do they offer a level of compensation as well? How does that work?
No, no, me and Stephen work it out.
Mm-hmm.
I work with Stephen on that, and we come up with an offer that fits, and I let my fighters know what we're talking, and they let me know what they think, and I just make a deal.
Mm. How many dates do you intend to have on Showtime this year?
I don't honestly. I know we're gonna fight on there. I don't know how many dates. I
Mm.
really don't. And it's going to depend on, Boots is going to naturally get his if they wanted to. It's really up to them.
Uh-huh.
If not, then, we'll do something else. But
Right.
we love working with them, and me and Bosie are really happy, and Boots is happy, and so that leads to the other fighters, and Boots opens the door everywhere. He is so great.
Uh,
So it's good.
yeah.
It's good.
Seems like Stephen Espinoza's, to me, is one of the last of the Mohicans, you know. And what I mean by that is one of the last few like genuine guys in boxing. Everyone is very cutthroat. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like I've had conversations. I've never done business with Stephen Espinoza, but I just have a feeling that boxing is going to make him very even more. It's going to make him one of boxing's guys, and hopefully it doesn't ever happen. But um, you know, what's your take on Stephen Espinoza?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. No, yeah, no. He's been great with us. He's a
Yeah.
great guy, and I'm sure we're going to continue to do business and do a lot of business.
Yeah, and that'll be great. Steven Espinoza, stay a good guy, man. Stay a good guy, because I know it can be rough in these streets, and I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm just saying I know he got to make business decisions sometimes, but I know there's a level of humanitarian in him, you know
Yeah,
that
he
that
made he's the one who made the big deal with Floyd, that really changed a lot of things in boxing. That was a big
Sure,
deal. So
sure.
yeah.
How did that change in boxing? Would you say? In
Well, I mean, he had 30 something $1 million a fight. I mean, who
right,
has that? You know what I mean?
right,
So I think that led towards Canelo stuff, and no one had ever made that kind of money, as a minimum. It was crazy. It was nuts. It was
right.
good for boxing.
No, he is.
So,
What's your take on Cambosis? Who's gonna win the George Cambosis sweepstakes? Is it Devin Haney with the zone? Is it Lomachenko with top rank, or is it Tank Davis with Floyd Mayweather?
you know what? It's amazing that kid is in that position. Um, he really, he really, you know, fell into the big money. Good for him.
Hmm.
Um, I really don't know. I mean, I think he wants to fight in Australia,
Right.
and he wants to fight at home, and they're giving out numbers like 80,000 people will come. I mean, that's insane, and be a huge event in Australia. So I think it'd be, that's terrific. But he also could fight in Dubai, and just really comes down to who he wants to fight. I think, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. It definitely comes down to preference. Who would you, on a wham, who would you think he would pick?
Well, if he beats Lomachenko, if he goes home to Australia, he gets that. Gets to fight at home in front of tons of people. They're saying, and and if he beats Lomachenko, that's a really great Hall of Fame fighter.
Sure.
Not that Devin Haney won't be a Hall of Fame fighter, but he's nowhere near where and done what Lomachenko's done. So, it's his choice, though. He may feel better about the Haney fight.
Mm.
You know,
What separates Lomachenko from Devin Haney? Would you say, is it the promoters? Is it name cachet?
yeah, his name. He's been around so long, and he had those great fights, like we just talked about Russell earlier, and he's had a lot of fights with big names.
Mm.
So I would think, he's a much bigger name.
Mm.
And, you know, I would think that would be if he was to beat, let's say he beat any one of them, I think he would rather beat, Lomachenko,
Mm.
my opinion. I
Mm.
think that's a bigger win, but beating Devin Haney would be great too. I mean, it's unbelievable that he's in the position that he's in. Don't you find that? I mean, it's incredible.
He's worked hard. Devin has worked extremely hard, man, and half of his career has been independent. In terms of not working with promotions and going to Mexico, making fights. Now he has a co-promotional deal with the Zone. So kudos. I mean, when you look at it from 50,000 feet, you look at the Haneys and you give them a standing ovation. To go from being a little handsome kid in Floyd Mayweather's gym sparring everybody to being a certified world champion. You know,
Yeah,
it's great to see. Speaking of
yeah.
champ, yeah, speaking of champ, what's your opinion on the franchise belt?
I don't, I don't really have an opinion.
Mm,
It's another belt.
mm.
So, what do you think?
I think it's bullshit. I think it. I'm glad you
Okay.
asked. You can always ask me the question I asked you back. I think it's
Yeah.
bullshit. I think um, Mauricio Suleiman needs to get rid of it. I think I think Mauricio Suleiman has a good heart, who's fallen in love with um, prestige. He likes where the WBC is going, um, and he's making a lot of money. 18 weight classes, you know, 18 belts. Now a handful of them got franchise belts, so he's everywhere he wants to be in the world. And I think long term, it's going to have a negative impact on boxing because these fighters are not fighting each other. You know,
Right.
And like Tiafimo, I thought should have fought Devin Haney. Because just to get rid of the franchise belt and throw it away, and now we have a consolidated, unified, undisputed champion. And but it's I think Mauricio Sulaiman is going to look back at these last 2 or 3 years and be like, God damn, I really I really fucked up with that franchise belt. I'm being honest. Like I you know, and I think but the truth of the matter is I really, because I've been around Mauricio, I really think like similar to um I just mentioned Steven Espinoza. He's very kind, like he's very like warm, you know, but I think he's fallen in love with the popularity of and the esteem of the WBC, and he's gonna have to bring that in with a level of common sense and pragmatics, moving forward.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, no, he's a guy when you meet him, he's a really swell guy.
Hmm.
And you know it because he treats you like even if you know him a little bit or well or what, he's always nice when you see him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Definitely, man. I just would like to get to a space in boxing. We'll get out of here in a second, Cameron. But where the best are just fighting the best, like I know promoters want to protect their investments, but can we get like a round robin where promoters just take a risk? Like you got got Gary Russell fighting tonight in no man's land in Atlantic City. That was 30 years ago. And then we have Devin Haney, and you're gonna start pulling your hair out this time next year, especially if Earl Spence don't move up. You're gonna be pulling your hair out immensely because that as you said, I got my quotation marks up. The business of boxing is gonna start stinging you in the butt. With Brian, especially Brian Norman. Who is he? He 28-0. People like, who is he? Well, he's next. So I've seen clips of him spar, and he got rocks in his hands. I'll he that kid can punch. And
who's that?
Brian Norman, he can punch his, oh man, he makes indents on people's bodies when he punches.
Yeah.
That kid can punch his tail off. And
Yes,
and
he can.
and I just want to get to a space where one day, where Gary Russell can fight Leo Santa Cruz, and everybody just sit back and enjoys the fight and say, you know what, I may lose some money, but we're gonna move this sport forward. It's kind of like Gary Russell not fighting the Leo Santa Cruzes, Jaron Ennis potentially not getting Terrence Crawford or Earl Spence or even Virgil Ortiz. You're gonna have to chase Virgil Ortiz for 5 years, but you know that already. And it's like doing the whole football season because we got the playoffs today and no Super Bowl. For the sake of commerce, and the fighters that don't get the opportunity, whether you're Latino like Oscar De La Hoya or whether you're black like Floyd, Terrence Crawford, they lean on the side that is racist, that is systemic oppression, because I never got my opportunity. But the promoters got to stay in business to create opportunities for opportunities, so it's that ugly, I call it now. I just made up this term right now, Cameron. The ugly duality. It's an ugly duality. And
Well, you don't need to be crying about, guys like Terrence and stuff. Terrence made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
right.
It's not like he's somewhere and with all the stuff going on in the world, and
Right.
people starving and everything. It's not like that at all. He
Sure.
can do pretty much financially anything he wants to do. I don't think he wants to drive around in $1 million car and stuff. He could if he wanted to.
Yeah. No,
So you can't feel sorry for him. I mean, you can say in the business he's in, I wish you would have made more money. Okay, I get that. But it's not like you're crying over him and Floyd, forget it. No one has ever made money like Floyd.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how much you go back to boxing history, and there were great fighters, didn't make much money at all, and they fought, you know, 12 times a year in title defenses, and didn't make what Floyd made for 1 or 2 rounds.
No, I get it.
So he was really smart and he really brilliant, and he made a lot of money. So, but I don't feel sorry for those guys, because they made a lot of money.
Yeah, I totally get they made a lot of money, but he's the one that made a lot of money. You know, like when you see guys historically, men like Pernell Whitaker, you know, who should have been the best fighter.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like who should have made all the money in the tea in China, who was robbed in Texas. You know, he beat Oscar there. I mean, he beat Oscar.
Robbed in France.
Yeah.
Robbed in. Keep going.
Yes.
Keep
Yes.
going.
Yes. Yeah.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Keep
Robbed in
going.
Vegas. You know, so when and 1984 is a special team for me because that's when I fell in love with boxing. I was born in New York, Cameron. So 1984 means a lot to me. And
Yeah.
when I look at guys like Pernell Whitaker who didn't make the money,
man.
and maybe that lack of opportunity led to substance abuse. You know, I don't know that. I can't. He's gone now, so he's one of the guys that I wish I could have interviewed. He was.
I'll bet.
Yeah,
and one of the greatest fighters ever.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
So Terrence Crawford gets the $20-30 million in his career, but Pernell Whitaker barely scratches a handful of millions. But he doesn't get the power. You know, he doesn't get the power that comes with it. And I think I just think when I think of men like him, it makes me believe that the system is flawed. And I think if we had like and dare I say overseer when I say the system is flawed, but someone who can whip a Bob Arum, who can whip an Al Heyman, who can whip a Lou DiBella and be like, no, this isn't fair. I understand that you're preserving this fighter for X amount of dollars, but it is now time to make this fight, similar to how they have title eliminators and then mandatories, you know, like it should be like a window of time where this fight has to be made, not like Floyd and Pacquiao. I know I know Al Heyman made hundreds of millions of dollars on one side, and Bob and Pacquiao made hundreds of millions on the other side. But we're sitting here arguing in the barbershop for 9 years. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we got one fight out of that deal. One fight. They should have fought 3 times.
Oh, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that these guys should fight. I don't think there's, and I know the fighters want to fight, but they also want to make a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's what I understand. That's exactly what I understand. But there's a lot of fighters that falls through the cracks that don't make a lot of money, but have the potential to be great. But then they get pushed into this. They get typecasted, you know, into this role, you know, and sometimes it's not fair. But you know, life goes on, and you're going to be calling me this time next year, Fred. We got to do an interview because all these fighters won't fight Jaron Ennis, and you and I are going to laugh, and we're still going to carry on with the interview. How's that? Because I guarantee you, next year, 18 months from
I hope that doesn't happen.
I know so, man. Man, listen. What I know to be about Jaron Ennis, there's no one at 147 below Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence that has a chance at that kid. A chance. Virgil Ortiz is too slow. Who else you got? That's it. Like
Ortiz is a tough guy,
man. You got to sell him. I respect you. Got to sell him because you got to convince Oscar he's good enough to get in the ring with you. But nah, no one this side, north, south of Jesus Christ, can beat that kid. of these new crops. Nah, I'm sorry. Nah, impossible. But and he's gonna be fighting a bunch of mandatories. So you and Steven Espinoza have fun with those. Finding those mandatories. Oh, you 23-0 from Peru? Come on, come on, come
Yeah.
on.
It's part of the business.
Yeah, I know, I
And
know, I know.
unless somebody's gonna, you know, networks are gonna get involved with
Right.
real money, and
Mhm.
Boots is gonna, sell, 30,000 tickets, and you understand.
I get it. I get it. And we appreciate you. 50 minutes, man. We always on for. I genuinely appreciate you. I'm definitely going to send your regards to Rick Glaser, and I'll tell him you said hello, and you looking forward to his phone call, and and I genuinely hope it doesn't happen to Boots Ennis, but um, you know,
Me too. But
yeah. But
me
you
too.
you got five of them, and thank you for coming into the barbershop again, man. I totally appreciate you coming on, and people will thoroughly enjoy this interview
I appreciate you so much. Take care of yourself.
all the time. Thank
Get
you.
well.
Oh yeah, get well. I
All
got
right.
2 more days, man. I got 2 more days, and I'm
Then
scot
you can
free.
go outside.
Then I can go outside. I can go outside in the rain. Either well, it's California, so it never rains, but I can go get some fresh air, But thank you, man. I totally appreciate you.
Bye. God
Oh,
bless you. I
thank you, brother.
appreciate you.
All the time.
Bye bye.
Uh huh.